information, Mr. Abingamotosho, to tell us more why you are here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. As he has said, first let me just greet you members of the press for coming around. As he has said, we have just finished a meeting with the e-hailing companies. Mr. Governor was in attendance. He led the team. Then the transportation family, led by the Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Fred Oladende. The e-hailing companies represented by all of them, all the giants in the trade, Bolt, Uber, and all of them. And then the drivers too, represented by our gentleman here. And you must have heard the speculations and misrepresentations and misinformation about the relationship that we have as a Lagos State government with e-hailing companies. I would like to reassure you that there is no strain in our relationship. What the government is trying to do is not just, people have said we are going to impose taxes on people, on riders. That is not true. What has happened is that we are trying to create a very good environment for businesses to thrive. It is not all about naira and kobo. It is about security. It is about service. It's about providing a good environment for businesses to thrive. So some decisions were taken at this meeting, a 3-hour meeting. And I would like to let my colleague, Dr. Fred Oladende, to read out the decisions to you. After that, whatever questions that you have, you can just ask us. Thank you and welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, as my colleague has said, we've had a 3-hour meeting with the governor of Lagos State. And after the 3-hour meeting, we developed a communique in relation with the e-hailing company. So some of the decisions that we reached are as follows. So the regulation for the e-hailing companies will take effect from the 27th of August, 2020. So we're given an additional 1-week extension for all e-hailing companies to actually comply. It was also agreed that because most of the drivers who drive under this platform or on these platforms have third-party insurance, the e-hailing companies would have a comprehensive insurance to cover whatever happens while that driver is working for them. So when that driver is picking up a passenger or driving a passenger, he also has additional insurance from the e-hailing company. We also discussed the issue of service charge, which we initially defined as a 10% charge. But we have come to a resolution that it will become a flat fee of 20 naira per trip. And we no longer call it a service charge. It is now called a road improvement fund, which is levied at 20 naira per trip. We've also come to a resolution that the operational license would be, there will be a 20% reduction in operational license. So in a situation where you have to pay 10 million for the first 1,000 cars, you now pay 8 million. Likewise, the renewal fee will be reduced by 20% going forward. In terms of all the drivers that drive on this platform, there are certain documentations that they must have. That documentation includes LASG cards, driver's license, etc., etc. So we have agreed that we would develop a one-stop shop where all the drivers will go and get all the documentations, and they have 3 months, 90 days, to actually comply with that resolution. We also agreed that the e-hailing company should develop a better relationship with their drivers and all bodies involved, so that drivers do not feel aggrieved. So welfare will be made available to drivers in situations where we have a downturn. So that was agreed with the e-hailing company, and they agreed to comply with that. We also agreed that there must be a background check for all drivers. So one of the reasons why we're putting this regulation together is to make sure that everybody that use the e-hailing app or their services is safe. So it's important that we know the kind of drivers that are driving you, that are moving from one point to the other. So all kinds of checks will be carried out to ensure that the right people are driving the customers in Lagos State. And that is paramount to the government of Lagos State. We also understand that some people get involved in all kinds of mischief, if I can call it that. So for example, a lot of drivers go on the app and then they book a ride, or people book a ride and then they cancel it and then try to collect cash from the customers. So we will be enforcing that to ensure that people do not carry this this fraudulent act. And so we'll be working with the e-hailing company to ensure that people who actually book are the ones that are carried, and that will reduce the number of cancellation, just to ensure that we reduce the fraudulent act that happen within this industry. Now, there's also the controversy on the release of data from the e-hailing company to government. So let me make this clear. We are not asking the e-hailing company to release detailed data. All we're asking from them is data on trip movement, so that we can calculate the right charge, so that they can pay the right levy, or should I say fund, to the government. So what we will be getting every week from the e-hailing company is movement data and nothing else. It is data on trip movement. And I think that concludes everything that we discussed. The e-hailing companies are very happy with the discussion. They have agreed to everything that I've read out. And from the 27th of August, this regulation will take effect.
That you have today. Thank you.
Okay, can I take the questions one by one? Okay, thank you very much. So the idea of the e-hailing companies using a car of 3 years and below is not true. That's a resolution that applied to what we call corporate cabs. So I think someone must have taken it from that document and then tried to paste it into a document. But it doesn't apply to the e-hailing company. There's no such in our regulation.
Thank you. Bring her from Ghana.
This road fund, which we're charging, goes to the operator, not the drivers. And we will be regulating the operator. So government is there to ensure that we do not pass the price to the customers. And that's why we're regulating. That's our duty. The second question, sorry, what was the second question again? Oh yeah, data. So the data that they will be supplying to us is, it's going to be encrypted. We do not want detailed data. It's just data on movement from point to point. It's going to be encrypted, so that all the information are taken off. It's very important that we have this data for planning and to ensure that where we have congestion or you have more vehicles in a particular area, we can deploy the resources required to ensure that we don't have congestion in those areas. So that's what it is for. We are not asking for data on details, people's details, where they came from and where they're going to. We just want point-to-point data. It gives us the number of trips that are made in a day, and it enables us to calculate what is due to the government. The last question? The what? Oh yes, yeah, thank you very much. So when you look at what is happening in the e-hailing industry, you will notice that most of the drivers do have some of these documents. They might have 4 out of 5, they might have 3 out of 5, but what the Ministry of Transport is trying to do is to ensure that people submit this documentation, and they will then help them to compile these documents, and they will send it to them. And that's why we are setting up this one-stop shop. Now, we've given 3 months because we know that quite a number of them do not have all the papers. And then we'll get them to do that in 3 months. And then we'll be monitoring the operators just to ensure that their drivers comply. So we don't want a situation where it is until maybe the 88th day out of the 90, that's when everybody now goes for the documentation. We are starting from today. And everybody that do not have the documentation or the required papers, they know themselves, and they should begin to file in their application so that we can process the information, and then they can have the detailed information required to actually move people from one point to the other. Remember that we're doing this for the safety of our people. It's not for the, it's not a matter of just having the documentation. We need to know the people that are driving our customers. We need to know the people that are driving our people in Lagos from one point to the other, so that if there's anything, if anything happens, we can track down the drivers, we can trace them, and then we can, we just ensure that we rectify whatever situation arises.
For the safety of the people. Thank you.
Agencies will, they'll be on the road to check people that have the correct papers, and then if you do not have the correct papers, you'll be banned from driving for the e-hailing company. So that's one of the penalties. And obviously, there are other fines that follows.
Thank you very much. I think...
And the driver's representative, so they will all speak.
Okay.
Exactly. So we'll get them to...
Privilege. My name is Ezekiel Ojo, the CEO of BNP Car. So we are all here today, and we are all agree with Mr. Governor. Honestly speaking, he has really tried for us because we believe this is Lagos State. We are all happy that the business is going to thrive, and by the God's grace, any defaulter is going to be punished according to probably if you don't meet up the requirement being demanded from the state government. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. And lady?
Good evening. My name is Tola Ademi. I represent Uber, and we had a very good deliberation with the governor today. Thank you.
My name is Comrade Idris Shonuga Oluwaseun, the National President of Professional E-Hailing Drivers and Private Owner Association, PEDPA. I represent the e-hailing driver partners who subscribe to e-hailing platform to carry out their transportation service. And so far, the meeting has been great, and Governor has done justice to all the gray areas. I want to use the opportunity to thank him so much. He meant well for the community. The regulation is about security. The regulation is about enhancing the quality of e-hailing industry. And I want to use the opportunity to tell the community of e-hailing driver partners to comply with the regulations. And they have given us enough time, 3 months, and there is going to be a center that we are going to get all the requirement documents for us to do our business without being harassed or being disturbed by any government agency. And I want to tell the community of e-hailing partner that all the grace areas we've been complaining about is going to be resolved. Most importantly, Governor has given advice to most of the app companies to form a synergy between among the e-hailing driver partner that render this transportation service, and which is where the major challenges is lying, because we don't have a representative of drivers in most of the app company business service unit, which is a kind of disadvantage to the community of e-hailing driver partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much.